Welcome everyone to our webinar today. Glad to have you. Well, we are a couple minutes early yet. We'll just go ahead and let everyone come on and we'll get started here in a couple minutes. Thank you. Attendees should be able to see the screen at this point that says, need help cleaning up POs? We have a wstool for you. So just making sure that that's coming across for you as well. I see we're at the top of the hour. We'll go ahead and give everyone just another minute or two to get settled in, and then we'll get started. For those of you just joining, we're going to give everybody a couple minutes to get settled in, and then we'll get started. Almost a couple minutes after, we'll get started here, probably about 30 seconds. So thanks everyone for joining. Give everybody a chance to finish logging in. Well, welcome everyone to the webinar today. Greatly appreciate you taking the time to join us. Today we're going to focus in on one of our WS tools, which is MassPOClose. The title talks about needing help cleaning up your purchase orders, and we have a tool for you, and we do. MassPOClose, and it's been a very popular tool. We just released it here in the last year. This particular tool is one that customers had been requesting over and over, and we're just like, okay, we got to build this one. And what we found is that customers kind of forget about purchase orders. It happens, right? Where you've entered in a purchase order for, let's say, a quantity of 6, and you talk to your vendor and he says, hey, yeah, I can send over 5 of those. I'll send those right over. You send over the 5, you receive them, you invoice them, and then that purchase order just kind of gets forgotten, sits out there, and you're never going to get the 6th one, right? And so this particular tool can help out in those scenarios. And what we found is some customers can have as many as 8,000 purchase orders that have been sitting out there for years that just need to be dealt with, right? And this particular tool will help you do that. So let's dive in and take a look at that. I'm Cheryl Simmons, the Vice President here at IS, and I'll be doing a lot of the talking as we go through slides. And Marty is going to be the driver today, and he's also going to do our demo for us when we actually get in and take a look at the product. If you have any questions as we're going through this, feel free to use the question or chat tab of GoToWebinar. We'll be monitoring that as well, so we can see and answer those as we go along. And again, we'll just verify that at the end that we make sure we get all of our questions answered. So Marty, let's dive in and take a look at the next slide. So this is kind of just of a screenshot of what MassPOClose looks like. But let's talk about what you can do in this window. First on the top, you can do filtering, selection, and a lot of times I will recommend, let's look at POs that are older than 6 months. And again, you could do that for a specific vendor if you're looking for someone in particular, or a PO number. If you know that, you can type that in as well. But again, dates can come into play. And once you've made your selections on the top, click redisplay, and it'll bring in the data on both the two grids. And my favorite part of this is, I hate to say it, but the bottom grid. This tells you what is unable to be closed. Because let's say if you also use, let's say, the WennSoft modules. If you do, let's say, service and job cost. A lot of times I hear this on the job cost front is, I'm going in and I'm trying to close a job in the job cost module, and it keeps telling me I have committed costs. So I have an outstanding purchase order. So you can actually, under product indicator, choose to do job cost and type in the job cost number, and it would show you anything you had outstanding for that particular job, whether it's in your top grid or bottom grid. And the bottom grid will tell you, nope, I can't mass close those, and here's why. And you'll notice it's got, the purchase order line information, the PO number, who the vendor was, the item you ordered, and the quantities. Ordered, received, invoice, canceled, you see those going across the screen. And then the arrow down below tells you why that particular line item on your purchase order could not be manually closed or massively closed inside of this window. In the first one there for that screenshot, we see 300 were ordered, 100 were received, but we haven't invoiced anything. So it's telling you, you need to go take action and find out, why did we not invoice this, right? And maybe what happened is an invoice got entered just as a payable versus a purchase order invoice, right? And then you can take action as you need to, or you still owe the vendor money for those particular items that you received. The top portion under available to close, that's where the fun stuff can happen here in this window. You'll see that, again, same quantity ordered, received, invoice, etc., going across the window. And let's say for that one, it's ordered 100, received 95, invoiced 95. And again, you're not going to get the other 5, and you know that. You can actually mark that, select it over onto the right to say it to be closed. And if you find that everything that's in your list is same, where, yep, I want to close those out, I don't want to receive those anymore, what you can do is mark the close box on the right hand side and click process. And what it'll do is go out and cancel anything that you haven't received / invoiced less than your quantity ordered. And it'll automatically do that for you. And then at that point, you can move them to history if you choose to. So it just kind of gives you that visual. What's also good is you can drill down on any of these PO lines and actually get in and take a look at the inquiry and drill a little bit from trying to understand what happened, especially if some of these purchase orders are, a year or two old out there. This allows you to get your fingertips on them and do your research that you need to. All right, Marty, I think we're ready to dive into the product and see how this works in action.
All right. Welcome, everyone. See, and I'm where I need to be.
Yep, you're in GP. I can see it.
Okay. All right. So to start at the very beginning, once you install the MassPOClose tool, you're going to see a menu option get created here under routines under purchasing. So just click that, and that opens the window that you saw on Cheryl's slide here. And kind of running through things again, like she mentioned, top part here is all filters. So initially, if you open this, if you click redisplay, you're going to get everything, all POs that are available to either close or that can't be closed. And then to narrow that down a bit, we have all these filter areas. You can filter by purchase orders. You can filter by vendors, PO date. On the right here, they also have an option. You can filter by buyer ID. There's a product indicator filter, and what this defaults to all, and it also gives you the option to filter by job, service call, or anything that's unbilled. And if you click on either job or service call, that's going to activate this other filter field here. So you can do a search and pick a job or service call, whichever you want to select it here, to pick one of those, and then it'll be filtered down even further. So I am going to go ahead and grab a couple of vendors. And anytime you change any of the filters, you need to click redisplay to get the grids updated. So I picked my vendors. I'm gonna set that back to all. Click redisplay, and now you can see all the PO lines that are available to close in this top grid for these vendors, and then any lines that are that cannot be closed with the reason down here in the bottom. Another area of filtering here is what you can include lines with these statuses. So if you look here, hopefully you can see my mouse moving. These check boxes are related to this line status field in each line, so you can filter by that. So in this case, say I want to do change order. I just want to change order, click redisplay, and I'm just going to get the change order. It's filtered by that.
Yeah, because most likely you probably don't want new ones, right? You're kind of looking for the ones that have been received, and but it does give you the option to include them as well. Sorry, Marty, I just jumped in there.
Oh, no, fine. That's fine. Just jump in wherever you think I may have skipped something, or if anything you need to want highlighted, that's fine. And then once we get down, once you have picked your filters and got the grids loaded, you'll notice that across the top here, we have a few links that allows you to drill down to get more detail on the line. So what you can do is click on the line, and it doesn't highlight the line. You just click there, and that line is now activated. But then once you click it on the line, you can click on one of these links, and it opens this inquiry window. We can get some more information on the line, and then you can see there are some more options to drill down even further on each of the lines for any more detail that you might be looking for. And the quantity received and quantity invoiced, those links are going to open the same inquiry window that opened from the PO number window. So you can see that it's the processing document inquiry window. So you get the same information there. But then at the end here, you see there's a WennSoft document column. And this will open if you have any of these lines are affiliated with a job or service call. So I'm going to pick this PO 2074 line here. You see it's got 1005 in the field, and that's job number. So I've clicked that line, and now when I click WennSoft document, it's going to open my job status window, so I get more detail on that line. And that works for both for jobs and for service calls. If you notice down here in my unable to close, I've got a line that associated with a service call. So if I highlight it, click the document field, WennSoft document, it opens the service call status window, so you can get some more information from there. And then, like Cheryl mentioned, under the unable to close area, these are lines that cannot be closed, and you see there's a field here called error, and that gives the message on why the specific line cannot be closed. And we have a couple different examples here about why they can't be closed. Cheryl, do you have anything more on that one you want to discuss?
Sure, yeah. The first areas you can see quantity committed on service call has been invoiced. And so if in that scenario, what you did, you went in and created a purchase order, committed your purchase order, right? And it was against a service call, so using your WennSoft product. And at that point, you turned around and you invoiced the customer. Well, it's saying you can't close that purchase order because you invoiced the customer. You need to go take action on of either doing a credit if you shouldn't have invoiced it for them, or do your quantity of receivings and invoicing for the purchase order. So again, it's trying to give you as much information on what's happened, so that when you're trying to understand why are all these purchase order lines outstanding, what do I need to do, right? Kind of detail that out. Just like the second one talks about, it ordered a quantity of 10 for that particular line item, and it received 10, but you've only invoiced 5. So again, it would be a research project of, okay, why did we only invoice 5? Like I said earlier, like, did you do a payable invoice instead of, receive against this PO for the other 5s, other 5 quantity that you invoice separately? Or do you still need to do that part? You're waiting from the vendor to receive that. So again, it just kind of brings it to your attention. And so that's why, similar to if you use job costs, your job closing window tells you why you can't close a job. Unable to close on the bottom of this window, very similar information. So, but the power is on the top for the available to close, right? Where you could multi-select going down those close box. Marty, do you want to show how you can multi-select just a couple of those?
Yep.
With the check
Yep.
box?
So this is actually the main reason for this window is being able to select which lines to close here. So if you look on the right, we have some check boxes. On the top, you're next to this close column header. There's a checkbox, and if you click that, that is going to mark all the check boxes in this grid. So anything that's marked here will be closed. So you can either mark all and close everything at one shot, or you can mark each of them individually. Like, say you just, these 3 you want to close these 3 lines, you can mark those and then hit process. And I'll show you one here quick. I'll do this PO 1016. It has 1 line item, so I'm going to click it. And once you select the checkbox of the lines that you want to close, you click this process button up here. And you get a message saying the PO closed successfully. And to verify that, we can go to the edit purchase order window. And if I remember what my PO number was, I believe it was 1016. You can see that the line that was visible in the MassPOClose window is now canceled, as the status of canceled. And the purchase order itself is now closed. So that's how you can verify.
Expand out that, Marty, so they can see the lines on the bottom there. Yeah, could you just, there you go. So we had quantity ordered of 5, and we hadn't received anything, so it canceled all 5 of them. And that looks like the only line on that purchase order, like you said, so then it automatically closed the purchase order for you. But just a caveat again, is this purchase order is closed, but it is not moved to history. You still have to remove closed purchase orders to history as part of your regular processing, whether that's month end, quarter end, year end, whenever you do that.
Good. Yeah, I guess that wraps up the demo, the functionality. Anything else on this piece you wanted to discuss, Cheryl?
No, let's go ahead and head back to the slideshow, and we'll do a couple last minute things.
Easier said than done.
There we go. Yeah, in Q&A, again, if you have questions or want something into the chat, feel free to enter those in. We'll answer those questions. And if we don't get time to answer them while we're in the webinar, we'll communicate to you afterwards and get you the answers as well. One thing I did want to highlight about MassPOClose and our other WS tools that we have out there as well. Again, if you want to see more information about any of our WS tools, come to our site, iscorp.biz, and go out into the WS Tools area, and it has little recordings on every tool that we have out there, as well as brochures that you could download and share and take a look at within your team. Right now is a prime time to be looking at them because we do have a promotion going on, buy one, get one. And again, this applies to those tools that are for GP and for WennSoft, and like MassPOClose is for both. And with that, you purchase one, get equivalent tool cost, a second tool, and you still pay enhancement for both of those, but again, only having to purchase one of those tools. So that is cool. And again, more information, and we can run through giving you a quote or estimate on any of those that you're interested in. So since we're talking buy one, get one, I just wanted to highlight a couple more tools that we have that maybe you want to consider as your second option. So Marty, if you want to jump to the next slide, and I'll run through these fairly quickly. The PO PM vendor changer. So this is if you entered in a payables transaction or you entered in a purchase order and it turns out that you have the wrong vendor or you need to switch vendors because they can't deliver. This gives you the capability to, versus copying your purchase order and making changes to it, that you can actually just change the vendor on your purchase order or on your payable transaction prior to posting, and it'll do all your updates for you from a posting account and those type of things. So cool little tool. We have lots of people using that. The next one, if you want to jump to the next one, Marty, PM on apply. We have, in the standard Great Plains, you can get the RM on apply, and you might be thinking, okay, where's PM on apply? And it's not there. So we created PM and apply as a tool. So this gives you the ability to, run through your payables process like normal. And if you found out that, the check you had written applied to invoices and you're going to have to maybe do a credit against that invoice, what this allows you to do is unapply that payment from the invoice. And so it really brings them back from history to your open, and then you could apply that payment to a different invoice. And like I said, apply a credit to the invoice that you, found out from your vendor they're going to credit you because something went wrong with it, whatever it is. This just allows you to do that without having to void everything and then re-enter it. Just brings it back, allows you to change what it's applied to, and move forward with those transactions. So very powerful tool. So if you need something like that, PM on apply is the right option. And the next one, I know it talks a little bit about customers and vendors, but just if you need to bring customers or vendors together, I know I hear the horror stories sometimes of, vendor you've been using for years has been set up and you got a new person who comes along and didn't realize that particular vendor is already set up in your system. And so they set up a new vendor, start recording transactions to them, and you want to bring them together. And again, you can do that on the customer front or vendor front, and that is part of the core product. But if you have third parties, like a WennSoft or any other third parties, we've built it so that we can also still run this combining, and it updates your third party tables as well. And if you have questions on those, just certainly ask us if it includes the third parties that you're using. And the last one I have out here is a quick purchase order, quick PO. So if you have, people out in your field and they're out at a store and they want to buy something, but they need to provide a purchase order number, what they can do is send in an email to a designated email box, and it'll actually create that header record for them in GP and kick back to them the purchase order number so that they can give it to their, wherever they are, whatever store they're in, give that purchase order number and move forward, and, obviously hook back up with the back office, bringing in their receipt information and getting those line items on there. But quick, easy process to, let them move forward and make their purchase, but yet get that data back into GP as quickly as possible. So lots and lots, and like I said, there's lots more that are out on our site, and certainly take a look at those. If you go to the next slide, just want to list out here as far as contact information on our sales side at sales@iscorp.biz, or if you have a consulting type question, support@iscorp.biz, and if you forget and go to one or the other, we'll get you redirected to the right spot. So don't hesitate on which one to send that to. Lastly, I just want to say thank you for attending. Thanks, Marty, for doing our demo today. And again, if you have questions, want to see more in-depth demos specifically around how you do things in your business, we are glad to do those and have those conversations. Marty and I are here to do those for you. So appreciate your attendance and your attention today. Thank you for joining. And again, if you have questions even after this particular webinar, just send them in to us. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.